And we are live. Well, welcome. I'm Angus Nelson of Evolve Men Coaching. I'm here to welcome you to the show. And I want to also welcome a guest. We're going to have a conversation today about this whole element in manhood 2021. Where does men play? Where's men's responsibilities, et cetera, et cetera. But before we get into that, I want to introduce another man, a friend of mine I've known for a number of years, who I took him out for pizza one of the first times we got together, which apparently is not one of his favorites. It's probably very low on his totem pole of the spectrum of delicious foods. But he did enjoy himself and was so gracious to have a great conversation. And with that, we've been friends ever since. I've spoken at some of his stuff before. He hosts some masterminds. He hosts The Thing, which if any of you ever see me wear my hat that says The Thing, he's responsible for that conference, is involved in impacting entrepreneurs' lives and taking them into places they've never been before. So with that, Terry Weaver, welcome to the stream.
Welcome, dude. Yeah, sorry about my. You know what? It's not that I hate pizza; it's that I hate bad pizza. And I traveled on a drama team in high school, and we had pizza like 31 nights in a row. And most of the time, it was like Domino's and Little Caesars, and Little Caesars. Like Little Caesars, you get like 3 minutes from the time they take it out of the oven before it self destructs.
Yeah.
And so the timer starts as soon as it comes out of there. And then it's like, I mean, I'll tell you a Little Caesar story before we dive into this. Like, my wife likes pizza, and so like she would always like, let's go Little Caesars, it's cheap. And so at the time we had like a Toyota Tacoma, and I'm like, well, if we're gonna eat pizza, we're gonna tailgate this junk in the parking lot, because by the time this Little Caesars gets home, it's not even gonna be edible. So like, there's my Little Caesars pro tip.
And I have a Little Caesars within like 2 blocks from my house, and that's the only reason why I acknowledge, like, if the kids want to eat Little Caesars, I'm down with it. My wife loves Little Caesars, and they've changed their recipe. They've gotten better, but the exact same thing. If you don't
Now
eat
that
it,
crazy bread, that's a different story.
have you had the Italian?
Oh, I don't know.
And there's a thumbs up on the crazy bread. You like it?
Oh, I love the Caesar's the crazy
Yeah,
bread.
yeah.
Now we went to Joey's House of Pizza, which is legit. What's his name from Barstool Sports went there like a month ago and like lost his mind.
Raved about.
He's like Mr. Pizza Review, and
It's glorious.
fantastic pizza.
Yeah. So we go from pizza to manhood. I can't think of well, I probably could come up with a better connection, but it's a
Tim
pretty good
Allen
one.
would be proud.
Nice. So we got together, and I briefly bounced this idea off you. Over the next couple weeks, I'm bringing in a number of my friends. If you haven't seen the last one we did with Gregarious Narain, you need to tune into that one. Now with Terry Weaver, we're going to jump into this question as we're kind of examining, like, what's it like to be a man in this day and age with everything that's going on. There's this context of, what is the most important thing men need to know in 2021? With everything that's going on, and you can put this in the context of what's important to you, Terry. It can be from business, it can be from relationships, it can be from any context you want to give it. But your answer to this question, what is the most important thing men need to know in 2021?
Yeah, man, you asked me this question and said, "Hey, this is a question I'm going to ask you tomorrow." No, spoiler alert. And honestly, man, when you start talking about like man issues, my background kind of immediately goes to like toxic masculinity, and it goes to, for me, I grew up in a broken home with a dad that was literally absent. My dad went, speaking of masculinity, he literally left the hospital minutes after I was born because he had a dove hunting commitment. And so, and he was pretty much absent from my life the whole time. So, like when I think about masculinity, I always think about it like through that whole lens of like, well, my dad real screwed him. I don't have a relationship with my dad, and that's by choice. I've chosen not to, just because it's always toxic. It's always self-serving. It's always stories that don't have that aren't fulfilling. It's always like, oh man, I'd love to be there for you, and then he's never there for you. And so, I went back to like the last time, maybe not the last time you and I were together. One of the most recent times you and I were together. We got together during Podcast Movement, with a bunch of guys, and that night is kind of replayed in different ways throughout my mind. But it goes back to what I do with the thing, and it goes back to what you do with your mastermind, and we all do the work. In the work we do, is that there is power in being in the right rooms. I think a lot of we go back to that Jim Rohn quote that is often kind of beat up, that you're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And man, there is so much truth in that. There is so much power in being in rooms with people that make you better, that challenge you, that piss you off. I was in one of those rooms last weekend in Orlando, at a mastermind that I'm a part of people who just were asking me really tough questions about my business. And I think a lot of us live small lives because we live in small rooms. And not necessarily by the smallness of their size or even by the number of people in the room, but the fact that they're just the wrong people are in the room. And the people that you surround yourself with, and the people that push you, and the people that text you out of the blue, like, I texted you out of the blue about something yesterday that, just when those relationships exist in your life gets better. That's why I created the thing, an event for entrepreneurs who wanted to be in the right room. That's why you created Evolve Men, the mastermind that you're doing, because when you get the right dudes in a space together, and this doesn't, my event is not just for guys, but your passion is helping men. That's what you do. And so when you get in the right room with the right people, your life changes. And I don't know how you've experienced that, but that's definitely been continues to be, I don't know if it's my only secret to success, but it's definitely a special spice to the recipe.
And for you, and I acknowledge, like, there's a difference when you are in the right room and when you're the right person in that room. So I've said to some of my clients before, is you cannot be the most interesting person in the room. And you have to get in rooms with people that are more interesting than you are.
Oh man, absolutely. This is going to sound like such a douchebag statement, but I'm going to say it anyways. I've been experiencing a lot of times where I'm in the room where I'm the smartest person in the room, where I'm the one that's bringing all the value in the room, and I end up just coaching the entire room. And I know you find that happens a lot. In my life, I've had to ask myself, like, what does that look like for the rooms that I get in? What does that look like for the people that I surround myself with? Because, while it's fun and it feels great to be like, wow, everybody needs me, everybody can benefit from my knowledge. There's just something about being around people that challenge you and people that, like you said, are more interesting. We always look to the Dos Equis guy, the most interesting man alive. And I find that really, really interesting that while it's cool to be notorious and you walk in the room and everybody knows who you are, there are a lot of people, I know I run into I have a lot of clients that feel this way, that they walk into a room and it's great that they get the accolades and they get the attention, but even though they're really big, they end up leaving feeling really small. If they're not in rooms where they're challenging themselves. And that's really hard for high performing leaders. That's really, I've talked to some pretty impressive people lately, and, people with 7 and 8 figure businesses and people with, New York Times best-selling books, and they really struggle with, how to get in rooms with people who challenge them and people who, people who make them better, the room I was in this last weekend, there was 2 really strong leaders, and, there's that, you and I both come from a faith background, and, we all hear that statement, like iron sharpens iron. But you have to have 2 people that are iron, or the other people are just going to dull your knife. And when you're around people who are like, a lot of times when you're around iron sharpening iron, it's uncomfortable. It's like bulls, clashing horns, or, moose in the forest.
Right.
And we need to learn to embrace sort of that discomfort, right?
Yeah.
The discomfort of, um, if you've, I don't know if you've ever, this sounds like the most Alaskan thing to say, but I don't know if you've ever seen moose fighting. It's really uncomfortable to watch,
Hmm.
but that's how their ecosystem works. That's how they get better. That's how they grow their territory. And, when you're not around people, when you're around people who kind of just bow at your presence, man, you end up living a really small life if you're not careful.
Yeah. It's in my practice working with men oftentimes, and I'm sure you can acknowledge this too. It's like there's an element where, as men, we always think we got to do everything on our own. We've got to be strong. We can't show weakness. We take on the lone wolf, kind of mentality. And I know so many people that I've spoken with, so many people that I've interacted with, or even people that I thought might have been a prospect for, one of my products. I'm like, hey, want to talk about them? They're like, no, I got it. That might not be the word they use, but that's what they're saying is, I got this. And sometimes in observation, I'm like, I hope you do. I really hope you do. But it's like this lone wolf kind of mentality is that we can't ask for help. We can't show weakness or vulnerability. And it puts us in all the wrong places. Whereas I feel like we are all designed for relationship. We are designed to be a pack. If we're going to use that metaphor of the lone wolf, it's like we need our pack where we're wrestling with each other and, like you said, challenging each other. For you, what does that look like in your life? Like, what are the rooms that you've been in that called you up, and what are the packs that you run in that keep you sharp?
Plug alert. My book, Making Elephants Fly. One of the big quotes in this book is that ancient African proverb that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together.
Mm-hmm.
And I began to because we all like to use quotes, we all like to put motivational quotes on our Instagram. But I researched kind of the background of that quote, and anytime you hear someone say something, you've got to look at it in the context, right? But if you look at that context and literally in the middle of an African savanna, if you're out there with lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and if you're going alone, you have to be faster than everyone else on the savannah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go together, you just don't have to be the slowest. Like literally, survival in the African savannah is tied to your community. Because if you go alone, you're going to be a lion snack.
Mm-hmm.
And and I really do believe that it's a life or death matter in survival, in going with the right people. And man, for me, it's been friendships with people like you. It's been masterminds that I'm a part of, events, people that I know that I've given permission to call and ask me the hard questions. If all the phone calls you're having with people either that are your coaches or your friends, if all of them are just like cheerleaders, you're struggling in where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
You need people that call and literally piss you off. You need people that call you out on your stuff. Mm-hmm. That when you hang up with them, you're like, that so and so, I don't ever want to talk to them again. You've got to have those moments where they disturb you. And we're so focused on being comfortable in our lives. Mm-hmm. We're so focused on finding comfort around, our lifestyles, and most of us live indoors with heat and air conditioned, and those are all things that are centered around comfort. But I think personal growth really happens in our discomfort. It happens in our times when we get really uncomfortable and have people that ask us hard questions, and people that do make us better, and when we need encouragement, because there definitely are seasons, man, where it's like, dude, I know you've been there. I know we've been there for each other in situations where it's like, well, crap, this sucks. And then, someone to kind of slap you across the forehead and go, dude, come on, you've got this. You've beat bigger odds than this.
Yeah.
I remember you, man, when you this may sound weird to say, but I remember, you went through a flood in your house last year. And I went through, and I said to my wife, I was like, "There's not a better person designed to handle this than Angus,
Hmm.
because he's been through the rising waters before, and he'll get through these again."
Yeah. Yeah.
And dude, you prevailed, and your community came around you, um, and those were all relation. The investment of relationships is the most important portfolio we have in our life.
Hmm.
A lot of us look, you and I are both around at an age where a lot of guys are talking about their retirement and like building their wealth. And man, the most wealthy people I know are the people with the richest relationships, the people with deep friendships, and people that will literally um, run through walls for them. That's literally why I have this. This guy's kind of become my little spirit animal. It's kind of become our thing mascot, the Kool-Aid Man. Because man, when the Kool-Aid Man hits a wall, he just runs through the wall and throws a party. And leaders that are successful are going to hit a lot of walls.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to have a team and a structure and a mental toolbox built around what to do when you hit a wall. And that obviously I believe comes through coaching, that comes through live experiences. I think, man, we've learned. You and I were together I kind of threw a small mid-year gathering for a lot of my friends at a barbecue in a private, meeting room in a barbecue restaurant earlier this
Delicious
summer.
barbecue, mind that.
It was delicious, right? But that event was really about a couple things, man. That was just about people who said, "Man, I need my tribe,"
Mm-hmm.
and I had no intentions of doing anything. There was no strategic, long range. That wasn't the goal at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, you have to be really strategic with building kind of your group of people around you that are there to make you better, that are there to make you stronger, that are there to make you so when you need when you're stuck, because you're gonna get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm astonished by the people that call me, and I'm astonished by the people that call you for help. It's like, how did that dude get stuck? Like that guy I should be calling that guy for help. And I'm here trying to help them get unstuck. And so I think that's something I've learned in the middle of this pandemic is, man, there's a lot of strong leaders who haven't built the architecture around their life that allows them to get through kind of the impossible things.
Mm-hmm.
And I really believe that, that's why I believe so much in the work that Angus does, that you do, man, because I think it's super important. I think it's really easy in this culture. If you want to look at the problems of society, and dude, I believe in women. I believe that women are strong. I grew up in a home of a single mother. But if you look at the walls that I hit growing up, and the things that I had to deal with, it was another man that poured into me, that invested in me, that mentored me, that coached me, that got me out of those holes. Whether it was my grandfather, or a teacher, or a youth pastor, or a coach, or just another dude that saw greatness in me.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to your last question, which I'm not even sure if I've remotely answered. I'm never very good at those, because you just like, hey, this riff. My question that I would ask your listeners today is, are you around people that see greatness in you?
Mm.
And when they see it, do they know how to mine for it like gold?
Mm-hmm.
Because I really believe, not like in a motivational speaker way, but like in a real deep to the core of my bones. Like, I believe there's greatness within all of us, just waiting and dying to get out. And you need to ask yourself that hard question. Are you around people that see greatness in you and are willing to help you see that when maybe you don't see it? Because if you've been following anything the last year, you know that Ted Lasso has kind of come out of nowhere. And what's been really powerful about Ted Lasso is this idea of believe. It's literally masking tape to the wall in the locker room. It's awkwardly crooked. But I really believe that belief is the most powerful gift that we have to give to another human being. For me to look at Angus and say, dude, I believe in you. I believe that, and not like in like a Stuart Smalley SNL affirmation, but gosh darn it, you're good.
Yeah.
But like in a reality, like, dude, you're a powerhouse. Like, I know guys that are from my community that have gone and worked with Angus, and like they're better because of it, because he was able to see greatness in them, and he was able to help them find that greatness when he wasn't around.
Yeah.
So there was my really long-winded attempt to answer that question.
No, dude, you're dropping nuggets there. That's so good. And for those of you who are watching, this is part of why we do what we do. We build these communities to help the people that we serve get to a better place. And I love how you set that up. Like I've got a mastermind that's launching in 2 weeks. If you guys are interested in being a part of that, I'm just going to put that link down there, evolvemen.us/mastermind. You have to include the www because Kartra, the tool I use, whatever, the link doesn't work. So you got to put the W's in front. But if you're interested in being in the right rooms with people who are going to challenge you, who are people going to call out your greatness, come and join us. I would say, just in response to some of the stuff you said, Terry, just thank you so much for, always being prepared in season to just kind of drop your wisdom into the world, because who you are and how you operate, I don't know that a lot of people get to see, how really spectacular and deep you think unless they actually spend time with you. It's one thing to say, oh, when elephants fly, what a cute little word, and then you dive into like where that all comes from and the history and background and study that you've done from everybody from Disney to beyond. Like you're always extracting the nuggets and the things that people don't see that actually help success be made possible, whether it's in business or in life. So
and
thanks
dude,
so
that's
much.
the thing is like those things are everywhere,
right?
I rarely walk out of them. I can't walk. And people are like, I wish I could think like I was like, no, you don't. I can't even go to the movies and not have 100 things come through my mind of like lessons and stories.
Yeah.
Leslie and I have been watching, just finished watching Undercover Billionaire.
Yeah, come on. That is
racked
with lessons.
Packed. And I've never been on the Grant Cardone train, but dude, give me a 10X hat, I'm in. You know what I mean? Like, right. Uncle G is what he's shaped up to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting idea. Matt Redman wrote a worship song called, When the Music Fades years ago. And it was around this big idea. What would happen if you just took music out of musical worship? What would happen? And from a biblical perspective in that area. And then like, what would happen if millionaires had $100 and no database? Would the knowledge they have be able to get them? And the answer was yes. Spoiler alert. All three of them were able to power through. And I would encourage anyone that's a leader in business to watch that show, because there's, I've got so many little takeaways from that show.
Well, let's go back and even what you just said, where we started this whole thing was being in the right rooms. Whether you watch season 1 or season 2, all 4 of them were able to bring together relationship as at the forefront of how they got to where they wanted to go. Furthermore, most of them did it leveraging vision over paychecks, leveraging a story towards where we're going and a confidence of something we cannot yet see to help people buy into vision. And this becomes the power of those stories, is vision is way more powerful than a paycheck.
Yes, relationships. And you know what it really comes down to on that show is when you take away everything, all you have is your ask. Mm-hmm. And they had no other option but to ask. Mm-hmm. They had literally nowhere to sleep.
Yeah.
And all of them made really bold asks. Using their, one person went to an RV place. One person went to a church. Mm-hmm. They went to where they knew, where who they were, where their community was dialed in, what they knew best.
Mm-hmm.
and then just kept meeting people and leveraging relationships. And, I think many of us, networking is one of they all figured out how to not be so fancy.
Yeah.
And a lot of us get really fancy in our leadership, in our business tactics, and we all want to use the latest and greatest thing. Um, and that's why I named my event for the thing, because it's really simple. You have a thing, you have something you want to do, and I want to help you do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, since we're plugging stuff, if anybody wants to join, if anybody wants to be in one of those rooms, in person, in just about less than 2 months, we're gathering in Orlando, thething.live. You can join us there. Maybe Angus will throw that up. He's got the fancy, he's got the controls of the ship today. But you can just go to thething.live and find out about it, and just use the code podcast, and that gets you 10% off. But yeah, man, I'd love to see more leaders take action, and I'm not really caught up on whose room it's at. Right, just get in some rooms, man. Get in some relationships. Get in around people that can help you, and stop trying to do it alone. Every one of those leaders in Undercover Billionaire all realized the power of being around people who knew people who could connect them to people.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them learned that if they could show up not to get but to give, and that's a hard lesson for a lot of us to learn, because we've been trained, I want to be in a room and I want to see what I can get from those people. And man, if you start showing up like that, you're going to miss out. I think masterminds, I think live events, I think lunches that you have with coaches or friends even are like potlucks. That, if you go to a great potluck, it's great because everybody brings their best dish. Aunt Betty is going to bring her chicken casserole that's famous. Some lame single dude's going to bring paper plates and napkins. But you're going to bring like what you can, right? And if everybody brings their best dishes, we're all going to have an amazing feast together. And sure, there'll be a few people who just need to sit in the back, who are at a point in life where they have nothing to bring and they just need to eat. And that's where abundance comes in, right? But, man, if you show up into those rooms ready to get and ready to give and not get, man, your life will change. Your life will be better. As you've even said, your life will truly evolve into something new and fresh.
I see what you did there.
Huh?
I see what you did.
You see what I did there?
Yeah. It's awesome. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Like, it's so true. Getting our lives, getting in that place, and I'm just going to blow this up, like getting in the right rooms. So Terry's answer to this question, what is the most important thing men need to know in 2021? There's power when being in the right rooms. Relationship, relationship, relationship. And with that, Terry, thank you so much for joining today and being a part of this. And I think we're going to continue this conversation and have other people contribute. And I love the metaphor you just said, having everybody bring their best dish. This is a potluck. And we can be better. We can do better. Men can be what they need to be to support and to create a kind of world that has equity across the board for everyone.
Yep.
And this isn't about gender. This is about men getting out of their own way, not because they're men per se, but because they're a contributing factor to a bigger picture than just manhood. And we have to support
stop trying to do it alone.
Exactly. So thank you so much. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for being a sport to join on a Sunday afternoon. I know you have like 40,000 things going on as you're preparing for your event, The Thing Live. And I put on the code is podcast, right? Just the word podcast. So if you want to go to The Thing down in Orlando and be a part of that event, there's going to be some other cool cats in there. Use podcast as the code. Look at that. The Thing Live. And if you're interested in hearing more about the podcast, I have to pause for a second. If you want to hear about the, I can't find it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. The Evolve Men. If you want to be a part of the mastermind, you can go ahead and go to Evolve Men. I don't even know where it is. Here it is. Look, I got so much stuff on the screen. Look at this. Let's just get rid of this. Evolve Men up on the top there. Evolve Men Mastermind up there. If you want to go down to the thing live right here, use the code podcast. That's going to help you be a part. So thank you guys so much for being a part of today, hanging out with us. We're always grateful that people are investing in themselves. Yes. When you invest in you, everyone benefits. And as Terry said earlier, that's the most valuable portfolio you have, is investing in relationships. And the best and most primary relationship starts with you. So thanks, y'all. Have a most incredible Sunday. And tomorrow night, go Pack, go. Cheers.